You can put the lobster on the back burner and put the pot bill on hold because tonight I'm excited as hell to report to you you're likely to get a second stimulus check. As negotiations resume between those two key people, yes. The president announces his own party, yes. An offer is raised, yes. And a deal in a second stimulus package is imminent. Good evening, everybody. This is LALATE, and really the most incredible evening broadcast of this channel since its formation. As the tables have turned, the tides have shifted, and everything is going in the right direction for a second stimulus tonight. This is Evenings LALATE, always at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. Tonight we have a special report right after this entitled What Happened? How everything went totally different in 24 hours. 24 hours ago, we delivered a special, which really was a blockbuster, on how Nancy Pelosi has turned American homeless because of her inability to get a second stimulus package done. But everything is changing, and tonight I'll explain to you why it changed so quickly. In this video, which is not going to be more than 20 minutes long, I'm going to explain to you how just in the last few hours since afternoons at LALATE, everything changed. If there was ever time to go to the front of this channel and subscribe, it's right now. The Purple Power is a community that really stays positive, stays motivated, and stays focused, and today was the day. 250,000 subscribers over the weekend. We're at 255. Let's keep it going. Also like this video because this is one damn good video. Boy, this video should be first. Let's get to the incredible great news. This is news just since taping afternoons at LALATE. It is early evening here in Los Angeles, so let me give you the time frame of where we are. There's a lot developing, and I got to cover it all. It's all about your second stimulus checks. It's all about second stimulus package. It's all about legislative action, not executive order. It's not about the states. It's all in Congress, and it's involving 4 people: Donald, Mark, Steve, and Nancy. Yeah, here we go. It started earlier today with some twists and turns, but let me tell you what's happening tonight. The president tonight, minutes ago, said he's urging his party to come up with their price. Their price is too cheap. Come up higher, get the deal done, and do it right now. Send out stimulus checks right now. Do the deal right now. And he did that as unconfirmed reports, but by a major news publication, says that Pelosi and Mnuchin are secretly meeting today behind closed doors without anyone knowing what's going on about negotiations. Boy, let me get to the details. Here we go. It all started with no one else but you. The Purple Power pushed the envelope over the last 2 weeks to push it behind 3 really key forces that came to fruition this week. 3 bills that, of which one was introduced on Tuesday, that were really saying, let's get this done. I mean, that's really the core of the operative discussion. And on Tuesday, one bill was introduced, the Problem Solvers Bill, a bipartisan bill introduced by both Republicans and Democrats. I detailed it yesterday. It was a blockbuster. We did, 150,000 views in the morning on just the announcement of that video on Tuesday. That was introduced. Confusion erupted in the hours that followed, where people thought that Nancy rejecting the bill is somehow a procedural order denying the progress of the bill. No, it's just her saying, I don't like it. That's all it means when she says I reject it. So the bill proceeded, but was so good about this group and this group, that group and this group, was that this group got behind the bill. And that group, the bipartisan, problem solvers, literally had the best public relations group I ever saw. They had the bill everywhere. And so what happened was it absolutely caused an avalanche, a tsunami of backlash against Pelosi and a backlash against Democrats and a backlash against Republicans. Everyone was getting hit. Everyone was getting hit for the very simple focus of what this channel has been, which is get it done. They weren't getting it done, and this bill said this is a bunch of nincompoops aren't getting it done, and literally it imploded in everyone's face. So this morning this afternoon, on Afternoons LALATE, I explained to you where we were at that point, which was that Mark Meadows, chief of staff to Donald Trump, said 3 insanely great things. At that point, I was happy to end the day just there. It was so good. 1, the president supported the Problem Solvers bill. Oh my goodness. That's essentially saying I'm supporting second stimulus checks, which is in the bill. The bill has second stimulus checks, $1,200 individuals, $2,400 married couple, dependents, adult dependents and minor dependents, $500. Whether you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you would get a second stimulus check. No limit on the number of dependents in the household, no retroactive benefits, as some people got confused, and no taking out for child support. It also had in there FPUC, $450 a week, $600 a week thereafter. It had rent aid, free rent money. My God. I mean, and the president supported this. This was the first time a president supported free rent aid, not eviction moratorium, but free rent, food, student loan repayment debt moratorium, so they wouldn't have to repay. It had a lot of great stuff. EIDL was in there. Well, the president with Meadows said supports the bill. Insane. Absolutely. Just, I want to jump up and down. Second, the president supports the number 1.5 trillion. Now, what's ironic is that I had told you that both the first 2 things were going to happen. I told you that several weeks ago, because this is a group that had gone to the president, had gone to Meadows and said, hey, we want to get this done. Meadows said this is what the president would support. Do it, and the president would support it. They did it, and the president supported it. So it came out. The second thing was the 1.5 trillion. I've been telling you since this channel started, the president will go 1.5 trillion to 2 trillion, because that was what CARES Act 1 was. The president would do that. Of course, Mitch was at 1, Nance was at 3, 95 trillion, gazillion. But the president would go to 1 to 2, 1.5 to 2. That's what CARES Act 1 was. It was at 2. So he would go 1 to 2. Well, Meadows said the president's going to go to 1.5. That was Afternoons LALATE. Then there's this. Oh, if the kitties and the dogs are not in the room, call them come on in, because this is incredible. So the president came out and had a press conference this afternoon, and so did his press secretary. And first, the press secretary said the president wants to send out second stimulus checks right away. Then the president came out and said, you know what? I'm willing to go higher. I'm willing to go higher and higher and higher. He's not referring to the pot bill. He's referring to the 1.5 trillion. He said, I'm willing to go higher, and my Republican colleagues need to get off their butt and stop sticking with these insanely low numbers and the lack of stimulus checks. Yes, breathe. Oh, my goodness. This is what he's sort of good at, is sort of not taking ownership when something is not sort of his, and then when it is sort of not his and is great, then he takes ownership for it. Well, here he threw Mitch McConnell under the bus. He didn't just throw Mitch McConnell under the bus. He backed up the bus over Mitch and then went forward and then backed up again. And then he basically said, that thing you did last week is a bunch of crap. How dare it not have stimulus checks in it? How dare it only be $500 billion? What the hell are you doing? That's basically what he said this evening. But to make it even better, he said we need to go higher. And you know, as the leader of the GOP, as the head of the Republican Party, I'm telling you, as President of the United States, you need to get your ass higher than 1.5. This is a ridiculously low number. Of course, they're really not at 1.5. He's at 1.5. They're at 1. So he's telling them to get to 2. This is just insanely good information. Now. It started earlier with the press secretary, McKenney, saying the president did not like the bill last week from Mitch. Didn't include direct payments. Did not include stimulus checks. Stimulus checks, another word for stimulus checks, is direct payments or economic injury or economic payment assistance, things like that. It did include stimulus checks. He wanted more than a $500 billion, total value. And he's very keen on those stimulus checks, she said earlier today. Well, then he talked during a Wednesday press conference late today, and he said that he would support $500 billion for state and local. I like the larger amount. Some of the Republicans disagree, but I can convince them to go along with it. I like the larger number. I want to see people get money. It wasn't their fault that this happened. Now, what he's talking about is bailout of state and local. This is all sort of getting screwy because the number that state and local needs is $150 billion. Meadows said that the president would go to $300 billion. I said you don't even need more than $150 billion. That's a scandal which I exposed starting on Saturday. They don't need more than $150 billion. Now the president's saying he's willing to go to $500 billion. Okay. Now, of course, on Friday, the wonderful Larry Kudlow said the president's willing to go higher, which is what the president did today, but he wants guardrails on it, meaning you can't just give money and it won't be for COVID-19, which is what she wins. So this is insane. Then he said that, then he tweeted, "Go for much higher numbers, Republicans. It all comes back to the USA in one way or another." Boy. Temple of Doom reacted, of course, because she had something to say. "We're encouraged that after months of Senate Republicans insisting on shortchanging the massive needs of American people, President Trump is now on calling the Republicans to go much higher numbers in the next coronavirus relief package." Okay, yeah, whatever. Of course, the part of this incredible article tonight is the following. On Wednesday, Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, according to the Washington Post, met and had their first negotiations privately since negotiations stalled weeks ago. Lord. This is just insane. Let me explain what's going on because it's a little bit confusing. So, we have heard so many different paths to get you stimulus checks. We've talked about executive orders. The president has a $300 billion to do by executive orders. We've talked about state and local having the money to do stimulus checks because they're holding on to that $150 billion of COVID-19 fund for the first CARES Act. We've talked about, the problem solvers bill. So what is this thing called here? This thing is basically bringing it back to where it was in July. This thing is back to the old Nancy and Stevie game of getting things done with the president pushing the envelope and the president telling his party, "I don't care, Mitch, if you want to stay down at 1 trillion. I'm going up. I'm going higher. I'm not doing a pop bill, but I'm going to 1.5. I'm going to 1.8. I'm going to 1.2. This is insanely good information, and this is insanely great news tonight. And I got to tell you why. In my heart of hearts, I really do now think that this could be a complete turnaround that could get you legislative action right away. This is something we never would have seen a week ago, and that's why I need the special right after this to explain how something changed so dramatically overnight. And it's all because of you and the problem solvers. Ultimately, the problem solvers is the bill that's getting this moving. It is the bill that's getting this moving. So for people who are sending these tweets and these things that say problem solvers bill is dead, oh no, problem solvers bills did this. You negative nannies can go somewhere else. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. Now, what's important to understand is that there's a timing issue. Y'all want to know when you're going to get the stimulus checks. Y'all want to know when things get approved. Y'all want to know when things get voted upon. Let me explain again. It requires a vote of House. It requires a vote of Senate. Those are 2 different days. It requires a signing by the president. That's a different day. Things never get done in 3 days, but they can get done if everything before that is done. Everything before that is effectively the negotiations are deferred to 2 people that they have complete authority to agree on what they want to get done, and that their agreement is then authorized by everyone who votes on it the next 2 days. That's how it can be a 3-day turnaround. At that point, you would have to add 10 days to receive the payments if you're set up for electronic deposit for SSDI, SSI, Social Security, or railroad benefits. And then you would have to add a few more days if you're not for electronic deposit, that your paper checks. So don't jump into the comments and say, are we getting a check tomorrow? Because you can't get a check tomorrow. Are we getting a law tomorrow? You can't get a law tomorrow. You have to have the House, Senate, and President sign and vote on these. This is at least 3 days. 3 days that the deal was done tonight. There is no deal tonight. There is no deal tonight. But you would need 3 days from the date of the deal, and then you would need days to get the payments. It is very, very great news, though, tonight. This is insanely great news. Now, here's the other twist, and I'm going to detail more about this on the special coming up after this, but one of the things that's really changing the situation in the last 24 hours is how would you call it, the reality check that's setting in for Republicans and Democrats who are up, yes, for seat re-elections. The races that Senate Republicans and Democrats and House Democrats and Republicans thought that they were going to so easily win are no longer tighter races. And they now realize the incumbents, remember seats for stimulus? The incumbents now face the narrowest races they could have ever envisioned because they have not gotten this done. And now they're scrambling to get it done. And moreover, the president doesn't want to see his party lose congressional seats. He's saying, you get this done because you're going to lose congressional seats. Insane. Now, it's not just Republicans, it's also Democrats. Just an incredible day. So where would this likely land? It would likely land nowhere near 2.4, which is that insane number that Temple Doom has. At one point, she was at 2.2. I've always said it can get down to 1.5 to 2. You know, if the power of the bees, the power that can, and the White House gets his party to 2, you have a deal. You're 500 million away. If you get it to 2, you have a deal. I don't think the Temple of Doom, despite how bad her haircut is, or how out of touch she is, I don't think anyone in her party will allow her to say no to a deal at 2 trillion, because of what? It doesn't make sense. It categorically doesn't make sense. But as you sit here tonight, I want you to understand, I want you to stay calm, I want you to stay focused, is that she does not determine your fate. And boy, I'm still dealing with that on a regular basis, and that's what the power of the purple power is. She is not a monarch. This is not a monarchy. She does not tell you how to do and shave and brush your hair and put on your clothes. And so she doesn't like an offer tomorrow of 2.1 from the Republicans, or 2.4 because she wants 2.4001. You don't sit back and drop into the comments and say, she rejected it. Who cares she rejected it? Because ultimately what's going to happen is that her party's going to lose their seats left and right in the House and Senate. So it's not so much what she's rejecting, it's a lot more at stake. But for now, the numbers are the following: $1,200 single individual, $1,200 check, stimulus check, $2,400 married couple, $500 dependents, $500 adult dependents. Could the numbers change? Sure. Could they absolutely change? Could we go to $1,200 dependent checks? Yes, we absolutely could. Could we have more people in the household? Yes. Could we have that? We could also go the other direction. We could get worse. FPUC $450 a week. First 5 weeks, then to $600 thereafter. That can all get changed. I mean, the offer from the problem solvers is more than I thought any Republican would ever support. I always thought we're going to be at $400 to $500 for a Republican deal, because Meadows offered $400 and to come up, $50, $100 more. I think that was really where we're going to stop. But the fact that the problem solvers were $450 for 8 weeks and then 5 weeks at $600, and that Trump now supports it, oh my goodness, it's just insane. I'm just excited for you. Finally, rent aid. Rent, a lot of money. I think it was $25 billion for rent. This is really incredibly needed. This is money that you would pay your landlord so that when the eviction moratorium is over, you will not be evicted. Boy, it's important for you to understand that these things are incredibly complex. They're incredibly changing. What you hear one day could be totally different the next day because the focus of these groups is changing. One day they're focusing on executive orders. Another day they're focusing on problem solvers. Then by the afternoon they're focusing on maybe getting it done back with Steve and Nancy. They're literally changing by the minute. It sounds like I'm changing the narrative. I'm not changing the narrative. I'm just reporting how the chess moves are literally moving differently by the hour. The good news is that they want to get it done. That's why it's changing. If they're not moving, which is last week, when the chess pieces are literally on the board and they're not moving because no one cares and no one's doing anything, that's when you're worried. Tonight, you're not worried. Tonight, you're ecstatic. Go to the front of the channel and hit the subscribe button with this finger, that finger, two fingers is, paws, tails, meow. Go and hit that subscribe button, drop your comments below. I appreciate the kitties in the room. And then also like the video, because who else has a damn better video than this one? And then coming up after this video is the big special about why things changed 24 hours after I called out Nancy Pelosi for making America homeless. As always, stay informed, stay focused, stay smiling, and boy, you're with the right place. Here's the purple power. You have the purple power. Stay up LA for more.